This story was posted by Quiet Gur 1448. Am I the asshole for telling my sister I don't feel sorry for her after her daughter moved in with her grandparents? My niece Annabelle, 15, went to live with her grandparents a few weeks ago. This was a long time coming. Annabelle has been miserable at home for years and has talked to her mom countless times and had me, my mom and my brother talk to her mom on her behalf before. Nothing changed until Annabelle was finally done. This all started when Annabelle was 4. My sister Natasha, 47, met her husband and they moved in together with his then 5-year-old daughter, Jasmine. Annabelle instantly adored Jasmine, which I know my sister hyped her up for them being sisters and stuff. But Jasmine from day one was very negative toward Annabelle. She would scream at Annabelle and call her names. It was normal kid acting out stuff that wasn't corrected from what we witnessed. Then over the years it just kept getting worse and it stayed a very negative relationship even after Annabelle stopped trying to be sisters or even friends with Jasmine. Jasmine was with her dad way more than her mom. Her mom, like Annabelle's dad, was a bit of a deadbeat, though at least she knew her mom, where Annabelle has never met her dad. Whenever we would see them, Jasmine would have no problem playing with other kids, even other kids in our family, but she would tell Annabelle she couldn't play or she would blame Annabelle for making her stop playing with others. My brother's kids would come and tell us what was going on and neither Natasha or her husband would say or do anything. My mom went over a few times to say it wasn't nice to exclude kids and Jasmine would say she hated Annabelle and wanted her to go away. This all bled into school where Annabelle was bullied by Jasmine and some of her friends. Still nothing was done. Natasha dismissed everyone who mentioned it to her. She would even ask Annabelle if she really wanted her to be unhappy and single again, or why couldn't she accept that some sisters won't always like you. She would ignore when Annabelle told her that Jasmine never liked her. We did our best to be supportive of Annabelle and we even tried to figure out if we could help things with her and Jasmine. It came as no surprise to me when Annabelle told us her grandparents were fighting for custody. When they won, it was surprising because I almost expected it to go in Natasha's favor since she's her mom. But the judge decided Annabelle was old enough to have a say and took everything into account. Natasha was furious with the decision and has been crying and raging ever since. Nobody has comforted her and we've pulled back now that we no longer need to go through her to see Annabelle. This might be why she showed up at my house the other night and wanted to talk, and when I didn't let her in, she asked me why we're not there for her. I told her that I don't feel sorry for her at all and I said it was her fault this happened. Natasha called me a bitch and stormed away from my house. She sent me a text yesterday saying I should still be there for her. So am I the asshole? And now to the comments. Not the asshole. What you said was harsh, but honest. Poor Annabelle, of course she wanted out of a house where her stepsister had bullied her for years for no reason and her mom didn't care. The absolute audacity of, she would even ask Annabelle if she really wanted her to be unhappy and single again. Charming emotional manipulation there. Didn't care if her kid was unhappy so long as she was married, I guess. I'm not surprised the judge sided with Annabelle given the situation, and her age. 11 years of misery is enough. Anyone with an ounce of empathy for your niece couldn't possibly be there for your sister. She made this bed, now she had to lie in it and realize she's a lousy mom. OP replayed. Yep. Being married and or in a relationship was Natasha's top priority. Comment. Honestly, I'm so mad at your sister. If I was you, I'd start texting back things she said to Annabelle. You should still be there for me. Some sisters/brothers, you didn't say your gender, just aren't going to like you. You should learn to just accept that. Not the asshole. She made her choice. I'm not even clear why she cares, unless it's about how it makes her and her husband look, because she sure doesn't actually care about her kid. Our second story was posted by Goldleg4903. Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law if she expects me to get a DNA test for my son, then I want her to get a DNA test for my husband? I 30F meet my husband Stephen 32 at a friend, who was cousin party. We instantly connected and started dating not long after. We have been happily married for 5 years now and have a 4-month-old son. I meet my MIL at his uncle's funeral. He asked me to attend in support of him. Before we left, his cousin warned me about MIL. He said she wasn't nicest person, and she had impossibly high standards to meet and can be judgmental, so don't take it personally, as she's like that with everyone. I did ask my husband and he agreed that MIL can be quite judgmental, but not to worry, that he will be there for me. I felt like they gave me the sugar-coated version of her because she was terrible. She made a scene about bringing a stranger to a family funeral, but my husband cut her off and said his aunt, who was his uncle's widow, said he could. She spent the rest of the funeral giving me nasty looks and making passive-aggressive comments. She made a scene at our wedding, but that's a different story on its own. But after minimal contact with MIL, my husband eventually got around to telling her that I was pregnant. I expected her to be angry and have a go at him. But she surprised us both and was the complete opposite. She was excited about being a grandmother. She was congratulating us. Her attitude did a complete turn and I grudgingly allowed her to visit. When it was time to give birth to my son, she wanted to see my son being born, but I refused. That's when her ugly side reared its head again and she caused a scene and was thrown out. I refused to let her visit us at home. My husband agreed. But she rang crying and apologizing. She said she was just overwhelmed about being a grandmother and her emotions got the better of her. Against my better judgment, I relented and said okay. When she first held him, she looked at me and said he was beautiful. I went into the kitchen to get us a drink and then I could hear my husband telling her to get out. I went back in. She started yelling he needed to get baby tested because he doesn't look like anyone in their family. He kicked her out. She took to SM and told everyone that I cheated on my husband and that my husband needs to get a DNA test to prove he was the dad. She got a lot of attention for that. So I made my own post and said I'll get a test when she gets test for her son. That just made everything worse. She rang my husband up telling him to take it down. He just hung up on her. Everyone divided and questioning my husband's paternity since she had such a strong reaction to it. Now even my husband is starting to wonder and making me feel I went too far and I'm thinking, am I the asshole for saying that? Comment. Not the ahole. She doesn't sound stable at all, and I would be worried about what she would do around the child. Even if she was just another weirdly incestuous boy mom, that mood swing, going from one extreme to another, in a blink of an eye, goes beyond asshole into dangerous territory. Also, her demanding to see the birth and immediately taking to social media also indicates she has no concept of boundaries. To have someone like that around your child, even if she doesn't do anything drastic, could be very damaging. Also, if she wants to make her delusions public, she can handle your public response. If you don't want a witch hunt, don't make a pyre. Another commenter said. Not the asshole, maybe not the nicest way to handle, but when you deal with shit, your hands are bound to get dirty. Keep holding your ground and just tell her to stop spouting lies about you on SM or you will continue to embarrass her on your own account, and she can face the consequences of her own actions. Our last story is titled, My Family Wants to Reconnect After 6 Years. So this is a long story and English is not my first language, please bear it with me. This are all fake names. I 45 male was married to my high school sweetheart Sarah 45 female. We had 4 daughters, Jane 24 female, Tori 22 female, Brianna 21 female and Claire 18 female. I met Sarah when we were 14 and we started dating right away. My parents loved Sarah and she became like the daughter they never had. I remember my father sitting me down and giving me advice, have good communication with another, think before you make any decision, that type of stuff. Me and Sarah were dating for 7 years at the time. When we found out she was pregnant with Jane, we were both over the moon, got married soon after and went on to have our beautiful family. The only problem was my brother Jack 43 male. Jack always had a crush on Sarah, it kind of harmed my relationship with him, but I tried to let it go because he was my brother and because Sarah also knew and had reassured me that she didn't had feelings for him. My limit was when Jack found out about mine and Sarah's engagement. He confessed his love for her and tried to convince her to leave me. She didn't and told me. At this point I was mad at Jack and I was ready to kick his ass had Sarah asked me not to. I was ready to cut my brother out of my life. It took Sarah and my parents 68 male and 66 female to convince me not to. My marriage with Sarah was amazing. We had, like any other couple, our ups and our downs, but I wouldn't change anything about it. We were a passionate couple who loved each other and their children more than anything. Mine and my brother's relationship improved after the incident and I truly believed he had gotten over his crush on Sarah. Little did I know that he didn't only still had a crush on Sarah but also was planning to break us up. One day, more than 6 years ago, I had arrived home after a week away due to job reasons and found my daughters, my wife and my brother in the living room. Sarah and my daughters were crying and when they saw me they started to scream at me. Sarah asked, "How could you have done this to me?" When I asked what she meant she said, "Cheating." I was surprised she accused me of cheating. Never in 25 years we had been together I cheated on her. I asked what made her believe I cheated on her. She showed me some pictures and texts that proved I had cheated on her with a colleague. I asked where she got this proof and my brother jumped in saying that this coworker, who also was friends with him, had confessed to him and sent him the proof. I started crying and begged Sarah to believe me. I told her that this was Jack's doing. She slapped me in the face and kicked me out. Before I left, Jane and Tori called me all kind of names. The one who pained me the most was, "You are a disgrace to our family." For a long time I tried to make Sarah and the girls see reason and to make them understand that I would never cheat, but sadly it was all in vain. My parents disowned me and my dad said if I was a man I would make the divorce easy. Before the end of the year me and Sarah were already divorced and my daughters didn't want to see me. In the beginning of 2017, Sarah and Jack got married. My daughters sent me a message saying that they hated me and didn't want anything to do with me and that they had a new father figure in their lives. It was hard, but with a lot of therapy I learned to move on. I always held on hope my family would find the truth, but I learned to live with the possibility they never would. 5 years went by without any contact with anyone from my family until a few days ago. I received a call from an unknown number. When I picked up I said, "Hello? Who's this?" And I heard sobs from the other side. It was my mom. She said they were sorry and wanted to meet me. I asked why and my mom said my family had found the truth about everything but this was a matter to be discussed personally. I told my mom that when or if I felt ready to meet them I would call her, but I didn't want to be contacted by no one until or unless I said something back. She told she understood and that she missed me. We said our goodbyes, but to be honest I still don't know what I should do. And now to the comments. I can't imagine how devastating this whole ordeal must have been for you. It really says a lot about your character that you were able to keep your wits about you throughout all of this. I have an underhanded brother myself that just can't allow me to be happy no matter how small a win I get. But he hasn't done anything this massive to me, yet. Whatever you decide to do, I'm sure you'll choose wisely. Another person commented. I agree with the others. They disowned you, they need to disown him. That should be the only conditions under which you will meet with them. Not only was what he did despicable, but it was also malicious, selfish, and manipulative. But I'm sure they won't throw their golden child out, so basically they deserve each other. I hope your daughters have enough will to apologize.